So, joined the military at 17.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
why that? Talk about that. That's like right out of high school.
Okay, so if you guys don't know who I am, I'm Aaron Battley, and I joined the military at the age of 17, which is uncommon for some. And I would say my main reasoning would be that one, I would say, unlike others, I knew what I wanted to do with my life at a very young age, and that was to join the military. I knew that. Are we okay?
You're good. I may dip in and out, but I'm still here. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
awesome. So, myself, unlike many others, I would say I knew what I wanted to do at a very young age. I would say it wasn't a full thought out plan, but the concept, the foundation of the plan is what I knew. And that was to join the military. What MOS? I don't know, but I knew I wanted to join the military. My uncle was in the military. I come from a military family. My grandfather served in the military, and I wanted to follow in their footsteps and join the military. On top of that, as you may know, if you guys live in the beautiful country of the United States of America, college is expensive here. And so it just didn't make sense to me to go to college for 4 years and leave college with a lot of debt. To me, that just puts yourself in a hole and you're starting your life up, digging yourself from a hole. That didn't make sense to me where the military would just pay for your college and you would just get your degree with money in your pocket and experience. So to me, it was kind of a no brainer. And then on top of the travel aspect of the military, the camaraderie aspect of the military, and just the overall leadership skills that I've been developing in the military. And I have been documenting that on my YouTube channel. If you guys look at my oldest video to now, you guys can see a very, very stark difference. And I'm not going to lie, I have to give kudos where kudos is due. The military was a big factor in my transformation and the person who I became today.
Got you, got you. What was military family? So what did you go in expecting, and then what did you get out of it?
Yeah, so I feel like I share the same opinion of I feel like I share the same opinion of many other people who have nothing in terms of in terms of military actually insight, and that's why I wanted to create my YouTube channel in the first place, to kind of document my journey, to give people a insider look inside of what the actual military is. Because before I joined the military, my opinion would probably be like many others in terms of what you see on the movies, what you see in video games, what you see on social media, just pure the very, very dramatic basic training scenes where the drill sergeant is in the private's face, or the drill sergeant is punching, you know what I'm saying, just yelling at, just nobody's having a great time. And then once you pass basic training, it's just like strict. You're going to be marching everywhere. You're going to be having to carry your weapon 24/7. And so that was what I kind of thought what the military was going to be like, which later on I found out it is completely not like that.
What is it like?
So, in a nutshell, and many people say this in the military as well, and I do agree in some circumstances, but ultimately it's like a 9 to 5 job. Like, you
Mhm.
have to do your job, right? And then to backpedal a little bit, I would say instead of a 9 to 5, it's like a 6 to 9. You know what I'm saying? Because you're
Yeah.
it's like a 6, sometimes 4 in the morning to 5. You know what I'm saying? So in the military, the main difference compared to the civilian world, and granted, this is up to the MOS that you choose, which is a whole nother case that we could get into later on.
Mhm.
But essentially, the military, I would say it's like a 9 to 5 job, but this job ensures that you're physically fit and that you can be able to operate and handle a weapon system. And so you wake up, You usually do your PT, which is at 0.6. And then also, this is dependent on what type of unit you go to, too, because some units you don't even do PT every day. But we could just go with a broad idea of the military and wake up at 0.6, go to PT formation at 0.630, do PT until 0.730, and then you get an hour and a half to take a shower and eat breakfast. You go back at 0.930, and then you're working until usually, hopefully, before 1700 or 1630, and that's 4:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. if you guys don't know what military 24-hour clock is.
Yeah. What is you were in South Korea, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was in South Korea for a year. Shout out to all my Katusas out there who helped a brother live and thrive in South Korea.
A Katusa, what is that?
So a Katusa, I do not know the full acronym for it, but
Mhm,
it's pretty much, since the South Korean military mandates that every young male in the entire country has to serve, and
mhm.
since we're allied with the South Korean military to help integrate our troops with their troops, they have designated personnel. They call them Katusas, and they pretty much are just soldiers just like us, and they do the same job as us, and they are the liaisons for not only the culture, the language barrier, and just to help us have a smooth transition over there while working.
Got you, got you. What was that like? I've never been to South Korea. It's right up there, obviously, North Korea. North Korea, that border is heavily militarized, as would be obvious. What is that like? Like, in Kim Jong Un's backyard?
Yeah, so it's kind of, at first you get chills slash, it's a surreal experience once you get on the ground, because I personally myself, before I've been to South Korea, the only other country I've been to was Canada. But being in Canada, it's still majority English, so you're not really starstruck, and it's not really that much of a change. But once you get to South Korea, the language, the symbols, the writing is just all a shell shock. And in terms of the situation with North Korea and South Korea, it's definitely like, yo, any given moment in time, if something happens in the world, because there are instances where North Korea, they like to antagonize South Korea. We get news reports all the time where
Mhm.
North Korean soldiers are seeing how far they can get on South Korea's border. And then when we get those reports, it's like, okay, yo, but it's kind of crazy. The people of South Korea are just numb to it. I would say kind of like the people in Ukraine after like the war ended in South Korea and North Korea, or actually it didn't end, but after the armistice, it's like life goes on anyway. So the people are pretty immune to it. It's just you get warnings every day potentially, but the people of South Korea just pretty much ignore them, honestly. And as a soldier, you kind of get in the flow of things as well, but you just try to do your job, live your life with that lingering potential threat while you're over there. Fortunately and thankfully, while I was serving, nothing serious happened other than the failed coup attempt of the government, which was crazy. All my Katusa friends were worried about their service, but other than that, it was once you get past the culture shock, it was pretty much normal.
Got you. What was that? A failed coup attempt in South Korea?
So, and then this is me just summarizing. I believe the government there, the sitting president at the time, he was facing charges. And so, in a last ditch effort, because, and then this can be all research as well to
Of
fact
course.
check me, but he was under investigation. His wife and himself were potentially corrupt. And in a last ditch effort to not go to jail, he was going to overthrow the government pretty much. And he tried to get the military to, in a nutshell, just overpower the opposition political party, and it just didn't work. And it was crazy because like I'm getting phone calls, do not leave base. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're in South Korea, you have the freedom to travel all around South Korea. But when something like this happens, you
Mhm.
get a robocall, pretty much mass call and text to all the DoD employees and soldiers saying like stay inside, because there's protests all the time in South Korea about anti-America or anti-war, anti-military occupation, and it's a very, I would say it's a conservative, and I would still say respectful, but they definitely do let it known if they do not like something.
Gotcha. Would you say so? Do they see American troops there as an occupation more so than helping them, or how do they view it?
Well, so this is actually pretty interesting because I actually got to talk to a South Korean soldier, and it's actually on my YouTube channel, and I got to ask him the same question. And pretty much, for the most part, the majority of South Korea welcomes the United States of America. Like, I would say the sentiment there is that the presence of United States military is there to help and protect. And based off of the history in South Korea's history between Japan's occupation of the country and then the whole conflict with North Korea and South Korea and the United States has a very rich and strong bond where America pretty much saved the country. And so they definitely do not forget. And the people are very thankful most of the times while you're walking out in public, because if you see me in South Korea, it's either, he's in the military or he's a foreign teacher. So they say, "You army?" And then I say, "Yes, hello, annyeonghaseyo." That's what they say in South Korea. And then they say, they're very welcoming. Old ladies would give me food and stuff like that. And it was just a very good experience. So I would say the sentiment of the people of South Korea in terms of America and the military occupation there is pretty strong and pretty positive.
Got you, got you. Um, so you served, went in at 17. I hear that I think I saw that you posted moving to Thailand and getting out of the military. Is that an accurate portrayal?
So that's unconfirmed. Okay,
Okay,
that is
okay.
unconfirmed. So to give context, while you guys get, now this is at the time of the recording, right? And who knows what's going to happen, but one of the benefits of joining the military is you do in fact get to travel. And so I was blessed
Mhm.
with the opportunity to be stationed in South Korea, and one of the benefits of that was you get to travel to the countries close to South Korea, one of them being Thailand, which I went to. And not only that, I got to talk to one of my inspirations for not only YouTube and military life, Forrest Lee. He actually was in the military, got out the military, and now he lives full time in Thailand. And so I use that as an opportunity not only to visit Thailand because I'm a Muay Thai fanatic. I love Muay Thai martial arts. I got to do Muay Thai in the home country of where it started, which was amazing. The food was amazing. And so I got to experience life in Thailand as if I lived there for a week. And coming back after talking to my friend Forrest Lee and just seeing how not only he lives out there, but there's other Americans out there living too.
Mhm.
Thailand is a very serious destination where if I don't find what I, or rather, if I'm not happy in America, which I don't think, I would potentially be unhappy, but just to have that option, it's definitely will be taken if need be. And so I'm not going to say 100% for certain that I will be moving to Thailand after the military, but it is definitely an option.
Got you. So, um, it's an option. Got it. Got it. Got it. What do you think of UFC? Is that similar? That martial arts, is that similar to UFC? Do you even pay attention to UFC here? It's becoming more of an international thing, but it's really an American version. Do you pay attention to that at all?
Yeah, UFC, so Ultimate Fighting Champion, I think that's what it stands for. I'm a huge fan of UFC. I think
Okay.
before, I mean, Conor McGregor pretty much put it on the map, I would say,
Hmm.
if it wasn't on the map already. And then I'm a big fan of Israel Adesanya, and then right now, I think the Brazilian, I forgot his name. He's like Chama all the time. I forgot his name. But I love UFC. I love martial arts. I love two guys with no team, just their own individual skill and ability, just battling out to see who's the best man wins. Because between golf and UFC, those are like the sports where you go in the ring and you have no excuse other than your own lack of preparation or your own preparation. And
Mhm.
so to me, if you ask me, that's one of the hardest sports in the world, if you ask me, because I'm the type of person where I absolutely despise excuses. And so if you want to talk all this stuff on press conferences, we'll see if you can back it up. And I just think that's amazing. And I would totally, when I was in Fort Drum, my friend actually, there's, the amateur UFC fights in the military.
Mhm.
Not only in the military, we have combatives, but also you get the freedom to do fights within the local community. And when I was stationed in New York, my friend did one and he won. And I'm like, yo, and it's on the bucket list too. So I definitely do see myself getting in the ring myself when the time is right, of course.
Definitely. What's different, or what makes your particular version of martial arts different for those who aren't aware?
Well, so I personally like jujitsu and Muay Thai. I
Mhm.
don't like boxing. I used to do boxing a little bit, but boxing is it's too linear for me because in a street fight, you're not just going to be always standing up. It's not a fair fight. And so Muay Thai gives you the combination of your hands and feet, and then jujitsu is just perfect for when you're on the ground. And so that's my personal preference. If we're talking martial arts, what would you say for yours if you're into it?
Uh, I like the UFC style. Like, I like, that it's a street fight in a sense. Boxing, I've never really been a fan. I support. I like what's his face.
Tank Gervonta Davis?
No, he does.
Floyd
He doesn't box anymore.
Floyd
Mayweather.
Mayweather? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I like him. I respect him more so as a businessman, but um, I never could really get with boxing. It just never really. But when UFC came along, Dana White and all them people, and how he took that from basically being, because it was really essentially illegal here in the states. So he fought through that. Although there are congressmen attempted to make it illegal because they said it's bloody, it's brutal, it's what's the term they use? Savage, stuff like that. He essentially fought through all of that, and now, they're touring the country. They do some foreign stuff. They're touring the country mostly, um, selling out arenas. I think they sold out Madison Square Garden 3 or 4 times at this point. So, um, I like that style because, like you said, it's real. It's close to the real thing in terms of an all out street fight that you're gonna get. So I'm more of a UFC guy for sure, for sure. Yeah,
Definitely, yeah, I'm the same way. I actually do would love to go to one of the matches one day.
yeah, me too. I have never been in person. I was supposed to go. They had one in Las Vegas. I think end of last month, early this month, um, March 2025. So it didn't work out. But my goal is to go. Definitely want to sit down with Dana White. I think he's a business genius. Like the whole quote unquote empire that he's building with UFC. I think it's amazing. An alternative. Um, and another thing I like about UFC more so on the business side is that it takes these guys who they probably have nothing really else going in life, and gives them a path to success. They channel that aggression in a healthy way. Um, and that's what I like about fighting in general. I think that's like the unspoken or unknown, really, benefit of fighting. It particularly for men, obviously, women do it. I think there's a, a female UFC thing going, probably not as popular, but it helps men who I think need it channel that aggression and that type of physicality in a positive way. So that's what I like about fighting in general. And that's why I think, it's a good sport, and probably in a sense, it's right up there. It's better in my view than the all American sports of baseball, basketball, football, even. So I like that whole I guess the philosophy behind it too. So
What do you think of the power slap sport that he's trying to bring?
I don't know much about it. What is that?
It's essentially two dudes slapping each other until one falls.
uh okay, if that's the description, okay. I think that's probably more of a promotional thing, a publicity thing, to be honest. If that's the
Yeah.
if
Yeah, I
that's
don't know.
I don't know about that. I like the fight, the rounds, the technique. I don't know how much of a technique you have with slapping somebody. That's interesting. That's coming to the UFC.
It's not coming to the UFC. Dana White actually, it's been a new sport for I think 3 years now. And if you
Okay.
really look it up, it's literally a thing where two dudes stand up, they hold a little stick, and they just slap each other, and whoever falls, that's how they win.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay, I gotta look into that. I definitely
Yeah.
look into that. So walk me through, martial arts, and I'm pretty sure you have a fitness regimen, fitness routine. What does that look like? Is it different, or is it the same, or does your what you do for the military complement what you do on your personal level? What is your fitness regimen?
So this is my personal fitness regimen. So I to make it easy to understand, I would say I'm on a push pull leg split, and in between my push pull legs, I do cardio. And whenever I have time, right now, unfortunately, I don't have time to train jujitsu or Muay Thai. I would either do one of those two martial arts in between on my cardio days, but in terms of what I usually do. And then, mind you, right, this is on top of the Army physical fitness because no matter if I do all this stuff on the side or don't, I'm still going to be working out with the Army. And so, usually, the Army, they're now moving towards a holistic health and fitness, which is more CrossFit oriented, which I would say does help with martial arts because it's cardio based. You're going to be not only working your muscles, but your heart rate's going to be pretty rapid and elevated while you're also working your muscles and stuff like that too. So
Mhm.
I would say it's a good balance, honestly.
Okay, okay. Push pull leg split. Okay, how many days are you working out? Like, is it 7 days?
So yeah, I work out 6 days a week. So
Okay.
Monday I got yes sir, yes sir. I'm a pretty if like I said, if you look back at my old videos on YouTube, I'm small as hell, but my goal was 200 pounds. And so I got addicted to the gym when I was in New York and Fort Drum because when I was in a field unit, I would be carrying combat personnel such as infantry, combat medics, and stuff like that. And so when we're carrying them on litters, we're not just carrying them, we're also carrying their gear. And so while we're out in the field exercise, I just told myself, I'm not going to be the person who stops somebody's life from being able to be saved because of my own physical fitness level. And so after that point, with addition of other things, I was committed to the gym. And now people ask me what I do for workout. I'm actually gonna come out with a workout regimen soon too, because people ask me so much and probably get into coaching as well. But that's pretty much what my physical fitness regimen is looking like right now.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're kind of getting a bit into your MOS. What is that? For those who aren't aware, and then what is your MOS?
Yeah, so the beauty of the Army is you not only get to choose your MOS, and my MOS is 68 Echo, dental specialist, right? The reason why I chose it is my recruiter gave me a list of jobs, and full transparency, full honestly, I looked at the list. I was like, which one is inside the most? I saw mechanic. I know they got dirty all day, and I know it's hot, long hours. And then combat medic, I know they're seeing crazy stuff. And boom, dental specialist. And then on top of that, before I go further, if you guys don't know what it is, it's pretty much a dental assistant. I assist a dentist with the patient. I seat the patient, I take x-rays, I clean teeth, or I'm capable of cleaning teeth. I'm capable of making your prosthetics in your mouth guards and stuff like that. But I chose that job because of pure, what is the easiest job? What is the easiest job on this list right now? Which
Yeah.
is funny because in the army, that may be the case before you ship off the basic training. You might get an easy job on paper, but you could be someone like me who goes to Fort Drum, New York, the most deployed unit in the military or the United States Army, and you get stationed with a field unit. And so I'm one of one in a unit of 3,000. And so if you don't know how it works, is there's brigade level echelons where you need within that unit a medical support echelon or a support unit, right? And
Mhm.
so for all of this 3,000 soldiers or however many is in the brigade, you got one of me. And then on top of that, I have to be at the same physical fitness level as them. I have to do the same training events like them. And so, although on paper I'm a dental assistant, I'm out there with the combat medics, M4 in my hand doing training events, and I'm doing exactly what they're doing. And it was not cash money.
Got you. When you say you're doing exactly what they're doing, what does that look like? Because you say dental system, I'm thinking you help clean teeth all day. What's like the day to day? What's the practicality of that?
Yeah. So, and then mind you, this is the beauty of the army again. You could go to all sorts of different units. And so my life in the BSB, which is a brigade support battalion, is pretty much taking care of the Humvees,
Mhm.
taking care of the FLAs, taking care of the LMTVs, going to the range, making sure that I'm proficient and qualifying on my weapon system. And on top of that, I also cross train with the medics doing IVs, litter carries, just stuff that I did not think I was going to be doing before I joined the army, but I just happened to be doing it. And so the only way you can get through it is go through it. And so I just faced it with a positive attitude and I got through it. And so it was pretty dope. Great learning lessons. I learned a lot doing Casavex with the Blackhawks, just loading patients up and
Mhm.
whatnot. And it was a great experience all around.
Got you. So 17, how long you been in at this point?
Oh man, I've been in for like 6 years now.
Okay. Okay. Wow. That's a good amount of time. You chose that particular MOS. Um, Thinking back to that time when you were just doing this, right? You're obviously familiar with it, given your family's history, but thinking about the decisions you made going in, what would you do differently, if anything?
Honestly, I would get a higher ASVAB score and I would
Okay.
choose a better job. I would study a little bit more. I actually am coming out with a
What did you get?
entity. I got a full transparency, and I'm not ashamed of it because I improved it. I'm working with an entity to come out with a guide actually, but I got a 41 the first time. That's what was enough to get my 68 Echo, and then I went to BSEP. If you're unfamiliar with BSEP, if you get a score in the military that you're able to get in the military,
Mhm.
or let me backtrack. If you're able to get if you got an ASVAB score of a 41, using myself as an example, and you want to increase it in the army, there's either a FAD class or a BSEP where you can increase it. And that's what I did. And now I have over an 88, I believe 88, 90. And so yeah, I'm not gonna say too much because it has a lot to do with my future in the military or not. But
Most
yeah.
definitely. Got you. Got you. Okay, that's a big increase, though. That's a major increase.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't. It was. I don't know what I was doing in high school, but I was not paying attention. I'll tell you that.
no, I was for me. So I did ROTC in high school the first 2 years, JROTC. And I thought this is going to be it for me. I'm going to do this. This is going to be my life. 20 years, get out, retire. Then I changed my mind, and so I got out and then I got to college and I went back into ROTC, um, Air Force ROTC. It was different, different branch. I said, "This is it. This is gonna be my life." And then I got out again, um, and so now I'm on my third. When I hit you up about this. I'm on my third. This is technically my third, go around. And I think this is what I want to do. I'm mature, I'm grown up, all this stuff. So we'll see. I took the ASVAB. I think I got I actually got it right here. That test, man.
See, college student, college educated. Let's see what we get as that.
I ain't do too bad. I ain't do too good. Where is it? I got like I have right here. I got a 62.
Okay.
No. 66.
Okay.
So yeah, and that's coming with a college degree. So the test is it takes you back though. It's like I'm trying to remember the how you do perimeter and the square root and all like what stuff I don't use in my regular life, but obviously I think you would, depending on what your MOS is, you probably would use a lot of stuff all the time. But it took me back for a minute. I felt like ACT all over again, to be honest with you.
Did you study for it at all or no?
No, so I did a practice. My recruiter gave me a practice. I did a practice. On a practice, I think I got like a 40 or so. And I took a note of what I needed to know, which was perimeter, which was area of this shape and circumference, all that stuff. I took a mental note of what I needed to know. And I just kind of watched, and this is not how people should study. Don't take my advice at all. But I just kind of watched YouTube videos about how to do that again, and it kind of jogged my memory. And so that's really all I did. And that's all the time I had to do because my crew was very adamant about me taking it within the next few weeks after the practice test. Um, and so I just jogged my memory and just went in and did it. And then there are more questions. So you have, more questions in the practice. So I think you kind of, I don't necessarily know if the practice that I was given was equal in the sense that there were more questions on the actual ASVAB than there are on the practice. I think if you're going to get a good gauge of where you are, you probably should do like a full length, like, the whole thing. But yeah, I didn't do too much study. I just kind of watched YouTube videos, which is not the best way to study at all. um, so yeah, still in the process of going through a couple of things in terms of approvals and waivers and stuff. But I should know something in the next few weeks, actually.
Are you
Uh,
trying to go the officer route or enlisted?
um, I'm still debating that. What do you think is best?
Officer for sure. I mean, you already put
Okay.
the time in to get your bachelor's degree, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so definitely it's definitely made not even made. It's going to be a longer process to go in as an officer because you're gonna have to go through OCS or BOLIC and all that sort of stuff. But is if you're in a position where you can wait, you should totally go officer. Now, mind you, the thing about officers that you don't choose your job per se. You just have to get really good scores on all your academic tests while you're in that whole process. But you do have the chance of becoming like an infantry officer if you don't want to become an infantry officer or like a quartermaster for
Mhm.
logistics and supply and that sort of thing. But officers' lives are just genuinely of higher quality. You get paid more, you get BAH, which is pretty much the supplement for you to have your own place versus you living with random dudes who may not be clean as you or hygienic as you. It's
Yeah,
just, why not is pretty much what my whole rationale is, especially if you already have a degree.
yeah. Okay, that's kind of what my recruiter said. I most likely will. It will be a lot more time, but it's more likely worth it. Yeah. So we'll see. I'm praying to God these waivers go through, which I think they will. Um, So where are you what's your rank right now?
So I am a E5 sergeant.
Okay.
So I'm a non-commissioned officer. I lead soldiers, I mentor soldiers, I train soldiers. And yeah, I've been an E5 for about almost a year now. It's pretty cool.
Thank y'all for listening to All Things Jay Shakur, to be at Jay Shakur Uncensored, my long form talk, interview podcast, or the weekly brief where I bring you the news, not just the stories you know, but the stories you need to know. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share to this YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching or listening on Spotify or anywhere you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. Please subscribe, share this with others. Thank y'all for watching.